Hey guys, ComSci Girl 523 here, and we're back today with another tutorial. First things first, quick updates on things. I am still working on my next map. I'm in the early process of programming. It's going to take a while because this map has a few extra things involved. So yeah, it's going to take a bit longer than usual. Also, I haven't been live streaming because of the fact that it does take me a little longer with programming right now, and I had to work out a few things with the programming, as well as I've been busy this week. Also, I'm going to let you guys know that school is going to be starting up again very soon for me, and because of this, videos and maps will not be coming out as quickly as you might expect. During the summer, it was a bit easier to get things going with getting videos up and tutorials up pretty much weekly if I was able to. But with school starting up, it most likely will not be a weekly thing. And yeah, so I guess we'll get started. So today, we are going to be talking about story writing. I was asked by quite a few people to actually do this topic, so this one's going to be done via a PowerPoint because it's kind of hard to do story writing inside of Minecraft. So, alrighty. So we have story writing, the ingredients. First we have the ingredients: inspiration, location, characters, plot, and the ending. Also, I'll give you a few tips at the end of this video regarding story writing. So let's get started. Inspiration. So inspiration comes at random times. You could be just chilling at home, eating lunch, which I've mentioned several times that a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm eating lunch, or even having a staring contest with an iron golem. The third one is more likely to show, is basically to show how it comes at really, really random times. That picture is basically when me and my brother were playing Minecraft. So you never know when an idea will come to you. Many times I'll be trying to fall asleep and an idea will come to me, and I'll end up just grabbing my phone and writing a quick thing down saying, hey, this was my idea, and then the next morning I'll look at it and be like, oh, okay. So yeah, so write down your ideas as they come to you. If you all of a sudden think of an idea, use your phone or tablet or whatever you have near you to write down what the idea was and go back to it later. Pick something that interests you. If you want to just sit down and think, okay, I want to write a story, definitely pick something that interests you. Maybe you like mysteries, like me. Maybe you like science fiction, magic, technology. Maybe you like post-apocalyptic things with zombies and everything. It's really up to you. You want to do something that you're going to enjoy yourself because you're going to be working on it for a long time. Lastly, think big. Think outside the box, or outside the blocks in this case. Maybe you want to do something in outer space. Maybe you want zombie warriors. Maybe you want a castle that's full of cake. Think big. You never know. You could always tune back what you write, but trying to actually fill out things after the fact can be a lot harder. Next, location. Use the location to build the story. For example, for Solve a Case 2 for me, I knew I wanted to build a castle. And so I started building the castle kind of before I had the story, which is not always the best thing to do. However, I wanted an idea. So when I was building this castle, I'm like, you know what can I do that involves the castle? I remembered like a lot of castle stories involve ghosts. That's why I had the ghost in that map. For the movie set, I knew I wanted to do a movie set. I'm like, okay, so what can I do revolving around a movie set? I'm like, well, what kind of movie do I want it to be? And that's how I got the whole outer space kind of movie theme with Rogue Planet and everything. So use the location you want to build to help you actually figure out what you want to have happen in your stories. Sketch out a basic plot. So when you're thinking about what kind of location you have, you can use to kind of sketch out the basic plot. Like, okay, this person will move to this location, then they'll move here, then they'll move there. Is it going to be multiple locations? If you want to use multiple locations in a map, you kind of want to sketch out how people are getting there, when they're getting there. Yeah, so I have some things listed in multiple locations, what can happen in different rooms. For example, with the museum, there's the different exhibits. I could have different things happen based on the exhibit you were in. The time of day, do you want it to happen during the day, at night, middle of the day? Is it going to happen over a span of a couple days? Stuff like that. Now, characters. So for my stories, I kind of break down the characters into 3 categories. I break them down into main, secondary, and minor. Main character is usually the hero, so usually the player, the villain, so whoever's against you, and suspects or other people that are key to what's happening in the story. Secondary characters are ones that they give you information. They kind of supplement what's going on in the story. They're necessary, but they don't necessarily have to do a ton with what's going on with the main storyline. So they usually have a name, but they usually are not one of the key players in the story. And then you have minor characters. Characters are usually named like ticket seller, like a general name. They're not given an actual name. Those are minor characters that you need in the story, however, they are not actually named. Speaking of names, there's several ways you can do names. So I would suggest being very creative with names. Puns are allowed. You want to have the name give a personality. So for example, some people picked up on most of these. So for Holman Lockshire, it's basically Sherlock Holmes rearranged. For Oswald Fisherson from Solve It Case 4, he liked to fish and he worked underwater, hence Fisherson. Now, I don't know if anybody picked up on this one, but the main character, spoiler if you haven't played Solve It, the first series, one of the main characters' name is Ivan Leon. It kind of sounds like he's saying, I've been lying. So, be kind of creative with your character names. Give them a little bit of personality. Speaking of personality, you want to do styling of the character. You want to talk about their speech. How do they talk to you? Do they have an accent? Can you kind of make the words seem like they have an accent? Do they have a very loud voice? Like, are you using capital letters and caps when you're talking? Are they being polite? Are they saying, like, greetings, nice to meet you? Or are they being rude and being like, who are you, type of thing? Also, how do they talk to other characters in the story, not necessarily just the player? Because there are times when you're overhearing a conversation between 2 characters. How are they interacting with each other? Also, you want to think about how they look. So, yes, you have the standard villagers, but you could also retexture and create custom characters as well. So you want to think about how do they look? Do they fit with the story? Stuff like that. You also want to give your characters a bit of a backstory. So you want to think about what is their role? Why are they where they are? What are their relationships with other characters? And how do they treat other characters? You want to give the player some sense of who this person is without giving too much. Because you do want to leave a little bit open to interpretation. And now we have plot. So we have the flow of the story. You have 3 basic parts to your story. You have the start, which is kind of like the setup. You get to meet your characters, kind of get the person integrated into the setting. Then you have the middle, which is where you're building up the plot. You're trying to reach the high point where you have everything that's been said leads up to that point. Then you have the ending, where it's like you wrap up the plot, and then you have the conclusion. So this is probably something you've seen most likely in school when they talk about various different books you may have read and stories you may have read. It's the same concept. You want to build suspense, but don't forget comic relief. So you want to have some sort of suspense. You want the player to keep going, want to find out what's going on, want to know what's going to happen next. But you don't want it to be serious the entire time. You need to add a little bit of comic relief. For example, here's an example. I was playing Minecraft, and it was like a very serious thing. I was like, I want to get all the X, Y, and Z done. And I come back to my base, and there's 2 Endermen just staring at me. That's a bit of comic relief, though an unplanned comic relief. You want to add like little jokes and stuff into your stories. You don't want it to always be very, very serious. I have a good example now. For example, in Solve It Case 4, I had the Yellow Submarine, and someone made a reference to the fact that it was the Yellow Submarine. It was funny because it's kind of a reference to the Beatles song, The Yellow Submarine. You also want to add a bit of a twist to your story. So, as many of you know, I like to add a little bit of a plot twist. You never actually know what's going to happen at the last minute. For example, case 6, you find out about Holman. Fine line, nothing is real. And the tester, well, who exactly was the tester? You want to be unpredictable, but you want to make sure it makes sense. You want to add little bits and pieces of information into your story that can allow what is going on to actually make sense with your plot twist. So, for example, in Fine Line, I kind of alluded to the fact that nothing was exactly correct. If you notice, things would change. And I called your attention to some of the things that were changing. For example, when you walked out of the cafe, it turned from, I think I had cocoa beans to cookies, or cakes to cookies. The lights in the art studio changed color. I was trying to allude to the fact that something's not right, without explicitly telling you, hey, look, this is not right. Same with the other ones. You want to add a plot twist that's unpredictable, but also kind of predictable. It's kind of a fine balance. And last, we have ending the story. When you're ending the story, you want to have your final event. Usually it's one very large event. Usually it's either a final battle, a final puzzle, or even a big reveal of something going on. You have different types of endings. You have the cliffhanger, the open ending, and the solid ending. Cliffhanger is to be continued. So yes, it's definitely going to continue. Open ending is to be continued, ? Meaning you've tied up most loose ends, but there may be a couple things that are not exactly have a final solid conclusion. Therefore, it gives you the chance to go back to that story and say, hey, I do want to continue this. However, you don't have to, because enough of the story was actually solidified in its conclusion. And last, you have the solid ending. Pretty much, you're done. There's no loose ends to fill out. There's no way you could possibly do it. You want to think about this, because if you're going to make multiple maps and you want them to be connected, you're going to want to stick with these two. Usually, you'll want a cliffhanger so it can lead into the next one, or you'll have something open-ended where it could potentially lead into the next one. So now, for my tips. Don't write your story all at once. A lot of my stories take more than a couple days to actually write, and I go back and I edit and re-edit and do that constantly over and over and over and over and over again. For example, Curtain Call took me a month to actually write it. I write a piece maybe every couple days, then I take a break from it, I go back to it. You don't want to write it all at once, because if you sit down and write it all at once, then you're going to just get really, really frustrated. Editing happens. The story that you usually start with is not the story that you usually end with. So, story, as I mentioned when I was talking in the first tutorial about the process of map making, you do make edits to the story as you go. Even when you're programming, you may make edits. I'm already editing text now with my programming because I'm realizing, oh, maybe I need to give you either more or less information based upon how I built up everything and how the puzzles are going to work, etc., etc. But most importantly, you must have fun. Map making and story writing should be a fun experience for you. You need to have fun with it. So that's it. Story writing, the ingredients. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any more questions about story writing or anything that I previously mentioned or have not mentioned yet, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. I do not know when the next tutorial will be ready. I will try to see what I want to do next. I still have that list that everybody has commented to me. So, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.